really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir.
Right on cue. Hey, right on cue. Hey, let me.
We're back on the Jumbo Set podcast. It is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024, coming to you all live on a Wednesday night. Little live session here. Man, a lot to get into. It's been a little while since we've been able to sit down and do this together. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz. We're brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, my friend. We've talked Orioles plenty, but we haven't had a chance to sit down and dive deep into some Ravens, and now we're finally getting a chance to do that on the eve of draft day. Johnny Manziel, how's it going, pal?
Todd.
Yeah, you got to talk about Malik Neighbors, tremendous wide receiver. Yeah, okay. I don't want to get. I don't want to do too much of that.
Caleb Williams is a stud. Todd.
I will end my career if Jimmy Clausen doesn't turn out to be a Hall of Famer. That's it. I'm done.
Who the hell is Mel Kiper anyway? I'm fired up. I'm excited. It's been a little bit lighter into draft coverage. We've been exit 52. We've been doing Orioles. The Ravens went on a really deep run. We've been on vacation, all that good stuff. So I've stayed dialed. I've watched tape. I'm doing my own thing because I have my own obsession. Didn't do as much content as typical. I haven't done videos and things like that, but this is an exciting class in many ways. Do I think this is an exciting draft for the Ravens? No, not necessarily. But they have a lot of picks, which is fun. And we've seen them have rounds like that fourth round a couple years ago, Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kohler, some things like that. So they've had some nice PTPers coming out of the later rounds at times. The Ravens have really, DeCosta's got a good hit rate. Speaking of which, Rashod Bateman, first round pick, 27th overall pick, signs an extension with the Baltimore Ravens today. Spenny sources, I got that on the Twitter sphere before anyone else. And I'll take my roses there. Spenny sources is fun. The first thing I ever posted went really poorly, that the Ravens were going to trade for Vic Beasley. I got inside word there. Did not happen. Got clowned on. Was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Then I remember Ronnie Stanley, him coming back off IR when he hadn't played in a while. And then people were like, no, he's not. No, he's not. It was just very negative. But I'm a little older. I'm a little more, my hide's a little thicker here. So I don't really care what you guys think that much anymore. If you can't tell by my voice crack, maybe I do a little based off of that. But Rashod Bateman, the Prince who was promised, one of our favorites, that was like one of our favorite moments we've had in the 5 odd years we've been doing this stuff together. We both really love Rashod Bateman. We were really into that draft class. The Ravens had 2 first-round picks, and it was really cool. We thought he was the guy that they should draft. We thought he was a great prospect, and then they go and nail him, and they go and get a Dafe Owe afterwards. So Bateman signs a 3-year extension ahead of the 5th-year option deadline. We saw Jamar Chase also get a 5th-year option there. And man, I mean, Bateman, a guy who broke his foot, a guy who, I tweeted about it, we've talked about it. I don't know if I've ever been so, what's the right word? Disappointed, but just like beaten up by a guy having an injury, especially because it wasn't like a knee too that Bateman had in 2022. It was a foot, and it lingered, and there was the hope that he would come back, and it just gave out against the Bucs on that fateful, I think, Thursday night game. Maybe that was a Thursday night game, something like that. I think it was at a rehearsal party when that happened. So that stunk. And the start that he had to that season against the Jets, huge 55-yard touchdown. Then against the Dolphins, takes Xavier Howard to the house on a slant, a couple big catches. Against the Patriots, week 3, makes a really big catch late in that game, shakes somebody, and goes after it. A guy that just has had a tough go of things, right? He has had injuries going into camp both times. Last year, he misses the beginning of camp. Rookie year misses the beginning of camp. So a guy that you just hope can have a healthy year and start to put it all together a little bit. And the Ravens get ahead of that. The numbers that I was told originally, 3 years, $15 million, those haven't come out officially. Got word a little bit after that it sounds like it's a tick above that. I don't know what that means, a hair above, maybe with incentives and stuff. Maybe it's up to 18 million, 19 million, something like that. But definitely, right player, right price, right? And it's a quick deal for a guy that, they can avoid that 5th-year situation, everything like that, and get into. So fun day in that regard, and hopeful that Bateman can be who we've seen flashes of, somebody that we've really loved and liked and had on the show before. And of course, when you have guys on the show, part of my take always talks about that. They're like, of course we're going to root for, Brooks Koepka and Max Homa at Masters. We love those guys. They've been nice enough to join us and things like that. So Bateman in Baltimore for a bit ahead of the draft and gives you a little clarity. Not exactly last year, which was Lamar Jackson signing his contract going into the draft, which was an absolute nuke, but maybe a nice summation of the quieter year that the Ravens are having and back to organizational normacy, kind of solidifying a younger player that's flashed and going into the draft kind of quiet. I don't know if I'm out, if you're out.
You got me?
I got you. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We're live, folks, so we're doing our best here.
Doing it live. Sorry, yeah, having some tech issues here. We'll have to see what's going on with that. Of course, the one time we go live with this thing, the first time that we sit down together for to do this, this happens. But yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's one of those things where, as I see all the comments coming in now, I don't know if they're up to date or what's going on. And now you're frozen on my screen, so this is going really well. But yeah, all right.
I can hear you loud and clear. I think you're coming through fine. If you can hear me, we're good to go. We'll keep on keeping on. I can see you loud and clear. Hear you loud and clear.
Well, that's good because I see the comments coming through. This is we're absolutely doing it live right now. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I do think back to that 2021 draft. We're sitting there, and we were super excited about that one for the 2 first-round picks and everything. But we really had zeroed in on Bateman as a prospect who we both really love. We love the toughness. We love the ability after the catch. We just love everything about him. Just a smooth player. I think we have seen a lot of flashes of that. Or I don't know if I'd say a lot, but we've definitely seen some flashes of that. And that's just enough to make you. It's enough to tantalize.
Enough is the word.
Yeah, it's enough to like tantalize you into thinking like, oh, it could still really work. And what I like about this move, that it kind of breathes new life into a rookie contract. Shout out to Mark. We do sometimes get caught in the way of existence. That it kind of happens to me sometimes with the draft here. It can be like that sometimes. But it was certainly one of those things where, or it is one of those things where it breathes new life into a rookie contract for me, at least, where I'm like, huh, okay, like, it's 3 years, like you said, 3 years, 15 million, maybe a little bit more than that, but that's okay. That's, pretty much market value for like a wide receiver 4, maybe even cheaper these days. So it's great to see them go ahead and do that and kind of put an end to the speculation about a trade, put an end to a speculation about whether he's happy or not. Sounds like he's still out in California, just kind of doing his thing, doing all this kind of stuff. Sounds like the deal is going to be officially signed on Monday, but as far as everything we've seen, the Ravens are putting everything out on social media. They're making it clear that this thing is going to get across the finish line. So we'll have to see what happens with it. But overall, it's just it's a very nice way to enter into draft night, where wide receiver, I still think it's a need, but it's not as pressing. And it's not like if you trade him, then all of a sudden you got to go out and you're down 2 solid wide receivers last year. I wouldn't say he and Beckham were world beaters, but you're back in a decent enough spot with him locked up for a couple of years, and it takes care of some things as far as the books go. So, very, very happy to see this happen. I think there are plenty of naysayers around Bateman and his ability, but what we have seen when he's been on the field, I think it's been pretty good stuff, and the talent it's flashed enough. So if he can put together a full healthy season, to get him into the rotation a little bit more, he can prove that he's not a super weird fit in this Monken offense, which he looked to be at times last year. Another year, like I said, stay healthy and make this, prove EDC to be smart on this one would be what I would say.
Definitely. And honestly, Nelson Aguilar, kind of his career path so far kind of reminds me. Aguilar's been a little bit more healthy than Bateman, but I think you can look, if you're Rashod Bateman, a guy like Nelson Aguilar probably has a lot of valuable lessons in just his story and the type of player he is. First round talent, super explosive and athletic, lots of highs, some lows as well. Bateman having some drop issues at times, bad hand technique. Definitely something that we've seen quite a bit. So having that nice Nelson Aguilar presence, being around the Odell Beckham, having the bright star of Zay Flowers, who I don't think Jetpack Galea, one of my favorite Twitter accounts, was tweeting the other day. He's like, I don't know if there's anybody who can sit down in more of a complete halt than Zay Flowers, just decelerating, sitting down. He can get open anytime he wants, I think is what he said, by being able to just sit down. So talking about him, likely Andrews, and then, of course, the possibility as the Ravens are loaded with picks in a loaded wide receiver class that is both stacked at the top and deep and has slot guys and perimeter guys, big guys, little guys, all kinds of bodies. You think about guys like Ricky Pearsall, who are 99th percentile testers, had some production, have put together good tape, looked good in Mobile, Alabama, and is going to be like he could be the 10th, 12th receiver selected in this draft class. So I had some comments in here where we're going to get to a first round mock here in a little bit, but definitely, like you said, Jake, you got to keep, in today's game, you got to keep the cupboard full. They hit on Flowers a little bit. They feel good about Aguilar, Bateman. We'll wait and see. Somebody had a comment in here. They said, what was it? They felt like they were trying to force it to OBJ and Zay last year. There's that. No OBJ, I think, will help, but definitely you're going to have him fulfill some of those roles there too. But you want to keep that cupboard full, and you want to continue to have weapons. One of those guys is going to get hurt. That's the nature of the game. So, yeah, I would be remiss to think that the Ravens don't probably still sign a veteran. They did have Michael Gallup in town, who has not signed anywhere. That could definitely be a potential wait and see if the Ravens were to draft a receiver maybe earlier than they anticipate. Maybe that doesn't happen, or maybe it does happen either way. So keeping those cupboards full, making sure that you have those receivers, those viable options, and just don't end up in the 2020 and 2019 and 2021 situations where you feel like you don't have that myriad of both depth and talent and youth. You got to keep that pipeline full. And I think Eric DeCosta has been really transparent. I think Cole Jackson tweeted it out earlier. Like, the Liars Luncheon is no longer the Liars Luncheon. Like, DeCosta talked about this year. He's like, yeah, we want a step up from Rashod Bateman this year. We view him as someone who's an ascending player still, who did all of the right things coming off of an injury. So, you mentioned Tylan Wallace here in the comments too. So, your boy. So, yeah, Bateman, exciting. We've seen flashes of it. We haven't seen it consistent. We haven't seen him consistently healthy. That foot injury now, by the time, September rolls around and the Ravens kick off the 2024 season, which sounds really weird to say, but once they kick off, he'll be pretty much 2 years removed from that actual injury. And, they say that that's the gift that keeps on giving. Jimmy Smith had it, Marquise Brown. You can always kind of feel it. It changes the way your foot feels, but living with it, adapting to it, and moving past it. You hope that Rashod Bateman, if he can just have one healthy season, we've seen the separation ability. He's versatile. You can use him as a deep threat. Last year, he really was just kind of a middle of the field curl guy, making some tough catches on third down, things like that. We saw him get a little more gritty last year. So hopefully he can find that Goldilocks moment in time with a healthy year and be able to be versatile for the Ravens and go produce like so many people think he does. And we've seen the flashes of. So Rashod Bateman, Baltimore Raven, on a nice affordable contract. It does sound like. We'll see the final numbers once they're released, but for all things we've heard, should be pretty affordable, considering, like, I think of him a lot like a Jerry Jeudy. I think those are kind of similar talents. And Judy's had a little bit more consistent production and been able to stay on the field a little bit more. But I look at Jerry Jeudy and I'm like, yeah, why not Rashod Bateman? Jerry Jeudy signed a big contract and was traded for a couple, late picks, things like that. So I think that's the kind of impact you can see Bateman have. He's twitchy. He can make plays that some guys can't. Can do some of those rare things in terms of separation. And after the catch can be super dangerous. So, yeah, a separator, a jitterbug in many ways, and a Baltimore Raven through 2026.
Yeah, and I think back to his rookie season even, and I know that was a couple years and a couple injuries ago at this point, but man, when he did get healthy and he did get into some of those games, I think of that Chargers game, like he was the only guy Lamar was looking at when they blew out the Chargers. I think it might have been Herbert's rookie year or his second year actually. A couple other games. I mean, in that Bengals game, I remember when they got blown out, he made a couple nice plays. So, like you said, it's all been there. We're just waiting for that breakout to really fully happen and for him to put together a nice 900-yard season, couple touchdowns. That would be really good to see. So if he can, I'm just going to keep hammering on it. Just got to stay healthy and got to get reps throughout camp and got to build some chemistry with Lamar and get in the meeting rooms with Todd and figure this thing out because. It's like we keep saying, talent's all the way there. Just got to figure out the fit. So hopefully this will be the year, and it's a nice hedge. And I think Jimmy Dean had a nice comment of, he's really extending that rookie deal because he can go bet on himself. Yeah, you put together a nice 2 years here, nice 3 years. Maybe you could go and get paid up into his 30s because he's that type of player. I think he's that type of technician that could carve out a nice long career for himself as a possession receiver. So
100%. And I guess before we get into this mock draft, what we should do is take a look at the Ravens, just depth chart and roster, right? Where are the Ravens sitting? And the Ravens always typically, best player available. That's what they preach. I think we continue to see that. Kyle Hamilton, I think, is the epitome of that in many ways. At 14, when they drafted the highest they've drafted in the Eric DeCosta era since he took over from Ozzie Newsome. They go and get a safety when maybe safety wasn't a huge need, but they go get an all-pro there. Looking around the offensive side of the football, Lamar Jackson behind center, Derrick Henry brought in, Justice Hill still there, Keaton Mitchell recovering from a terrific knee injury, Zay Flowers, Rashod Bateman, Nelson Aguilar with Tylan Wallace. The Ravens also do sign Deontay Hardy, who isn't much of a receiver necessarily, but can be your gadget guy. He's going to catch a couple passes. He's going to get a couple snaps for you to go take over for Devin Duvernay there. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kohler, of course, that three-headed monster. We saw Kohler start to come on a little bit and be a contributor late last year. Isaiah Likely obviously having such a fantastic year and able to fill in for Mark Andrews injured. Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. The Ravens trade away Morgan Moses, a move I want to talk about in a little bit. That I think is a little stinky in many ways, some Fremunda cheese. Daniel Fa'alele on ESPN listed as the right tackle starter, Patrick McCary, swing tackle. The Ravens do bring in Josh Jones, former first-round pick, who's floated around, changed positions a little bit. I think someone that could certainly be in the mix. Andrew Voorhees, Malasala, Amuve, Luala. I still can't even say his name all the way. It's been a year. The seventh-round pick out of Oregon. Tyler Linderbaum, the center. Ben Cleveland along the offensive line there, currently listed as a starter online. We'll see what happens with that. Defensively, Justin Madubuike signs his monster deal after a monster season. Michael Pierce, who I think many forget was extended and pushes out some void years there. Broderick Washington, who is also extended. So the Ravens have things kind of locked up along that defensive line. You look at Travis Jones, who's still in his rookie contract, definitely a playmaker and continuing to develop, looking really explosive, fought through a couple injuries, some knee injuries, things like that. Brent Urban comes back. One of the fan favorites, the big Canadian. Odafe Owe heading into a really important year.
Sorry to cut you off, but Brent Urban tweeted, "This league is a joke." And I saw a couple tweets rolling in. A little concern there. He was talking about his Leafs in the NHL. I think they might have got screwed in their playoff game.
They did. So, Brent Urban's not too concerned about the happenstances in the NFL and in what, year 10, 11 for him, whatever he's in. I think he's okay. I don't think he's mad at the NFL. Roquan Smith, Trenton Simpson, Odafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy listed as the starters there. Chris Board brought back Malik Harrison, David Ajabo recovering from injury, Tavius Robinson, Malik Ham, the depth there at the outside linebacker and inside linebacker positions. Kyle Van Noy re-signed. We see Jadeveon Clowney and Patrick Queen departing, two impact players from last year. Marlon Humphrey on the left side, Brandon Stevens on the right side, Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams, the duo back there. No more Geno Stone. Ardarius Washington, Jalen Armour Davis, Arthur Mollett listed there. And then, of course, the specialists, Justin Tucker, Jordan Stout, Nick Moore, who's recovering from injury, and Deontay Hardy currently listed as the returner with Tylan Wallace and Justice Hill there. So I think that's a very good roster headed into a draft when you're about to have a metric boatload of picks and have the possibility to go up, down. The Ravens about to have 9 picks in this draft, 30, 62, 93, 113, 130, 165, 3 picks in the 200s there. So top 115 picks there, 4 picks. That's nothing to sneeze at considering they're picking at 30. So how are you feeling about this roster, Jake, as things stand? Obviously, Queen departs, Jadeveon Clowney, Geno Stone, some losses defensively. Of course, Mike McDonald heads to Seattle. Zach Orr taking over in his first year as defensive coordinator. And then along the offensive line there, you look at some question marks, things like that. But how do you feel about this roster ahead of the draft?
Yeah, it's hard to say I feel great. I mean, I'd say I feel good overall. I think they've got enough pieces, and I think they'll fit in well with this coaching staff. I like the coaching staff continuity. I like the fact that they hired from within a defensive coordinator. And then on offense, you're pretty much returning the same crew. You're still going to have Joe D coaching up that offensive line, which, talking about the roster, that definitely is the glaring concern to me. you lose 3 starters, no matter how ways, you can slice it any way you want. Moses was getting older. He had injury issues. They wanted to move on from him. Zeitler, another guy who they're kind of letting go too early as opposed to too late. I totally get that. And then left guard, totally fine with letting Simpson walk. He was kind of just one of those guys that you plug in, you get some good football out of, decent football, and then he's gone after 1 year. But they haven't really done anything to fix it quite yet, by my estimation. I totally understand the idea of letting some young guys step up, and I think we will have one of these young guys starting in at least one of these spots. But overall, it's kind of an incomplete grade for me as far as the roster goes, because you re-sign Van Noy, you sign Hardy, to your point, who's kind of a gadget guy, and then, you sign Derrick Henry, but overall, they haven't really had a ton of additions, and they had a lot of losses. So I think the draft is going to be kind of critical as far as 2024 is concerned. And the way I've been approaching it, and I haven't probably articulated it a ton because we haven't been talking a ton of Ravens the last couple of weeks, but I don't know. This kind of feels like a little bit of a reloading year as far as I'm looking at it right now. I still think they could win double-digit games, but I look at this roster right now. I don't think it necessarily is the roster that is going to be the one to take down Patrick Mahomes. You could certainly argue that last year was probably that one, and they missed the chance. But I don't know. They're going to get more chances throughout Lamar Jackson's career. He's going to be here for a long, long time, God willing. So overall, I think I'm in a decent spot with it. I think, like I said, though, they can compete to win 10 games with this team as it's currently assembled. I think the draft is definitely going to help me feel a little bit more secure in what they have going on for 2024, and still plenty of time to make moves to fill some of those needs moving forward, like they did last year when they signed a bunch of guys in that summer window, and then they got Van Noy off the trash heap in September. So yeah, still plenty of time, but overall, I'd give it an incomplete grade. Definitely have a lot of concerns, particularly on the offensive line. A little bit at edge depth. I think you can probably replace Clowney in the margin a little bit. And then cornerback, I'm a little concerned there too. But Brandon Stevens, a guy that people really don't talk about. I'm excited for his 2024. And then some of these young guys that we just really haven't seen at all. Like, we haven't really seen Pepe Williams very much. We haven't seen Armour Davis. So, like, Eric DeCosta said at the Liars Luncheon, like, we're going to draft a cornerback. Like, you can pretty much bet on that. So they'll get a young corner in there. It could even be a high pick. I mean, we've seen some Cooper DeJean stuff thrown around a little bit. I'd be interested to see if he, were a pick, what they would do with him. There's a lot of speculation about moving him to safety. So I don't know. He could be a guy that could be in the mix, or it could just be another one of these mid-round guys that they tend to pick up every single year, and then another veteran. But overall, yeah, like I keep saying with the roster, it's kind of an incomplete grade for me, but I have a feeling that they'll always be able to figure out a way to get to that 10-win threshold when they have Lamar behind center.
100%. They do have a lot of weapons. Feels like going into a draft where you do have 9 picks, there still can be additions, there still could be trades, things of that nature. You got to feel decent about the starting point as opposed to years past in terms of what's surrounding them. You feel like you're going into year 2. Lamar Jackson's growing, all of those things. On the defensive side of the football, Mike Macdonald's system, I would imagine, is continued in many aspects philosophically from a larger scale. Generating pressure using numbers, being able to simulate pressure, eyes on the football a lot more. Man coverage, not a huge feature. The Ravens have shifted out of that, living in the too high safety world, disguising coverage, corners having vision to the football. So those allow your defense to be faster and allow guys to integrate a little bit easier than these man coverage heavy defenses we saw under Wink Martindale and things of that nature. So you talk about living in the margins on, guys like Jadeveon Clowney. I look at Arthur Mollett, a guy they did bring back on the cheap that was an impact player for them, was a afterthought for the Pittsburgh Steelers for years there. It feels like they're in a position defensively to figure it out. Their defensive line, really, really, really strong still, despite losing Clowney there. I would imagine they add another pass rusher in the draft and maybe a free agent as well. You look at Tavius Robinson, some other guys that could maybe step up. Jabo will believe it when we see it at this point, has not been able to stay healthy in quite some time. But I think they're in good shape. I think you look around, and we're going to do this mock draft here in a moment. You look around, and the Ravens have some things to figure out in their offensive line. But again, DeCosta's been pretty intentional. Sounds like they're probably going to take an offensive lineman or 2 or 3 in this draft and continue to throw at it. Josh Jones, a guy who went under the radar. They've got McCary, who started for them. Ben Cleveland, year 4, could be very much like Ben Powers. And then you've got 2 young guys on the other side. You look at John Simpson a year ago, that could be Josh Jones playing left tackle for you. Or you look at Andrew Voorhees or Saleh there inside. So Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley, cheapened up a little bit, has been able to stay a little bit more healthy. But I will say, and what I did want to talk about, the Morgan Moses trade to me is a very weird trade to make. It is a cost-effective player. It is a proven starter. It's someone that played through injury, and the return you got for him, it's a pick. To me, I won't say a third-round pick, but pretty much if you get a fourth-round pick through a sixth-round pick, it's all the same. The hit rates in the fourth round aren't that much higher than the sixth round. It's, a 1 in 10 shot that this guy turns into a starter, something like that. A 1 in 5 shot that they're a heavy role player. I just feel like there has to be, and I'll phrase it this way to be a little bit more critical than I typically am. There has to be more to trading away a Morgan Moses than simply just hoping that at 30 you can find a starter. You don't find year one starters at tackle that are even average level starters. That's not the way that position works. And there's got to be more than that. I'll say one of the Alejandro Villanueva, I'll let you go in one second, but Alejandro Villanueva they brought in, I liked that move at the time. He was a fucking liability. I mean, it was brutal at times. I think he was maybe a little over scrutinized. He did have some nice aspects about his game, but you can't have that Achilles heel, and I'll pass it to you.
And that was my whole thing with the time. Like I tweeted out when that trade happened, like, man, I really don't get this at all. And maybe that was a little reactionary in the moment. And a lot of people came back with me and said, well, it's easy. He's getting older and, they wanted to get out from under him, too early as opposed to too late. And like, I get that, but like now here you are and you're down a starting right tackle going into draft, night, and your left tackle, he might not be on the roster, after this season. Like you probably are going to want to be looking at your left tackle of the future sooner rather than later. So a couple decent sized question marks there at the tackle positions. And I know you got Faalele in the mix. I don't hate that at all. Loved his potential coming out of Minnesota. We've yet to really see that come together. I love McCary as that spot starter, as that guy that you can rotate in and platoon in, as I would say. Josh Jones, I think that's very intriguing. I like that as a signing, but right now it's a lot of question marks. And I think trading away Moses left you with more question marks at the very least for 2024 than it did answers. And, it's a pretty obvious thing to say. And I'm not trying to like take shots from the cheap seats or anything, but it's just pointing out the obvious that, yeah, they're in a much worse position with that, spot than they were before they traded him away. So that's really my only criticism with it.
100%. And before we hop in, I mean, let's say this is a really, 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 really deep class. A couple more reallys in there if you want. In terms of offensive linemen in general, you've got centers, you've got guards, and you've got a boatload of tackles. There could be 10 offensive linemen taken in the first 35 picks, or even fewer picks than that. Joe Alt, going to be off the board by the time the Ravens pick. Olu Fashanu, I have not seen him close to mock to the Ravens. J.C. Latham, early in the process, meh. Don't think that's a possibility. Then you get to Talise Fuaga, possibly. Armarius Mims, possibly. Tyler Guyton, possibly. Kingsley Suamatia, possibly. Those guys there. Then you talk about a Troy Fontenot that out of Washington is super explosive. And you look at some of those guys, and this is what you have to ask too. The Ravens are reimagining their offense, and they want to spread the ball out a little more. They want to throw screens a little bit more. It is going from Greg Roman's big, chubby boy, bacon and eggs in a fucking skillet, gap man offense, not throwing screens, not moving the pocket, things like that, not getting out in space, not spreading the field a ton, not asking your linemen to go downfield, into Todd Monken. They draft Tyler Linderbaum. Ronnie Stanley is of that essence. And lo and behold, who remains? Morgan Moses was that player when he was younger a little bit, can run a little bit. He is an older player. That's not how you want to be using him anymore. Ben Cleveland, I don't think fits that much. On the other side, Voorhees, I don't think fit that in college. We'll see. Anyone who wants to have an opinion about Andrew Voorhees, who we haven't seen him in closer to 2 years, whatever. Salah, whatever. But athletically, the guys that stand out to me, Mims, outstanding athlete, can move. Fuaga, a little bit bigger for he's probably on the more Roman side a little bit, but can move, can definitely move. Troy Fontenot can move. Tyler Guyton was a freaking quarterback and running back in high school. I think he was all district quarterback, and then started playing defensive line. He was a 3-star recruit, ends up getting flipped to the other side. Guyton, I think, fits it very much. He's athletic, not a lot of bad weight. He can run, and he's got lateral range, can mirror all those kinds of things. So I look at those guys as potential fits there. But it is tough to hope that those guys are there for you and that inexperienced guys are going to be able to come in and start day one. So, we'll see. The Ravens, I don't know. I think it's tough. I think it's a tough conversation. We can get into the mock draft here, but looking at the offensive line, build the wall. That's what we wanted to see for Lamar Jackson after the Alejandro Villanueva year. And it felt like last year was a pretty darn good 5. Ronnie Stanley, in and out, McCary in and out, switching over on that side. But it was a solid group. Probably the best Lamar Jackson's had since that 2019 season when Yonda was still there. So getting back to that feels tough, but it's also been a huge point that Eric DeCosta has made throughout the offseason. They want offensive linemen. They've spent a ton of time with Fontenot from Washington, who fits all of those things. Kind of reminds me of Patrick McCary, but just if he actually had long arms and was the size of an offensive lineman and was stronger. So souped up. It's really not like Patrick McCary at all, but
I was going to say, what more could you want? I mean,
yeah, I love that guy. He's a my guy. I'm going to do the my guy list tomorrow, but yeah, so I think that's really the only concern as of now, right? I mean, they generate pressure on the other side. They've been able to, get the Van Noys and the Clownies productive. Adafe Owe, you really need to have a healthy year, and they'll probably add some more pass rushers and go find some more. And, they didn't make a move at the deadline last year. You've always got that ace up your sleeve. You can always go find additions on the defensive side of the football if you need to around the deadline to get in a good position. So, yeah, it's interesting draft class, interesting decisions, but I don't know. I like where the Ravens are, and I guess we can get into it in a moment here, but yeah.
I'm with you. I like where they are too. And with that, do you want to get into it?
I think we should, my friend. We're here to mock draft, right?
That we are. First one of the season. Full disclaimer, I am not kidding when I say I've really not done a ton of homework here. I've been checking in on the mock drafts here and there, checking in on the big boards, but I'm flying probably a little more blind than you are. What do you want to do as far as first versus who's going to pick first?
I'll let you have the first overall pick because that's going to be an easy pick.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with Joe Alt for the Bears, Notre Dame guy. You might as well be in the Big Ten there with Notre Dame. No, I'm just kidding. Caleb Williams, lock it in. Some Aaron Rodgers comparisons. Bears fans are going to love that. They were tortured by that guy for many, many years, and he's going to come in, bring some playmaking ability, replace your beautiful boy Justin Fields, and like Big Cat keeps saying, like you said earlier. I mean, this is a really good situation to walk into as a first overall pick. So like Caleb Williams going to the Bears, and I'm sure Bears fans are going to like it too. So number 1, Caleb Williams to Chicago.
Love it. With that in mind, I'm going to go Jaden Daniels, number 2 to the Commanders here. And let's see. I'm going to pull this up on the old PFF machine for us as well. And I'll share screen here so we can mosey around town. But I'm going to be going with Jaden Daniels. There's been much ado about a Topgolf incident in the land of things that maybe don't matter a ton. I think that the Topgolf incident, it sounds like, is maybe a thing of the past. The Commanders have done their fair share of turning off. And here we have it. Let's go Caleb Williams there. Let's lock it in for the Bears here. We'll go PFF. All right, Caleb Williams, but Jaden Daniels here, wherever the heck he is. What rated prospect is he?
Damn, maybe this is not a great pick for you.
Where is he on here? What PFF has him at 21? That's bonkers. I fully disagree with that there. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels here. Daniels, one of my favorite stats, I think, in this draft class is that the only quarterbacks that have generated more plays of 20-plus yards in a season than Daniels last year are Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, there in the last couple draft classes. So explosive. The RG3 comp, I think, is completely apropos. He is a bit skinny. He does have some Johnny Knoxville to him. Nate Tice said that, I think. He will put himself in danger very much so, but the Commanders go get Jaden Daniels. I think he's the betting favorite and all those kinds of things. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he is outstanding. I I have him right neck and neck with Williams in the way that I view them and view their potential. I think Williams has a little bit more natural feel for protecting himself and being a little bit more maybe of a point guard than a scorer than Daniels in some ways. But Daniels throws a hell of a ball. He's been around the block. He is a little bit older, but yeah, Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, number 2.
Yeah, a couple things on that. I mean, I love my Joaquin Phoenix comparisons. He might be Joaquin Phoenix and Joker, just, running around, just a lot of chaos, a lot of limbs flailing everywhere when he gets hit. So yeah, it's a big chaos. I think there's a little bit of boomer bust factor there, just as far as the play style goes, because like RG3, that guy takes some freaking hits. That weird picture of his arm going around. I don't know what was going on with that. Maybe
bursitis in his elbow, and it causes a little fluid sac there to flare up.
Jeez Louise, that doesn't sound pleasant. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's upside that I think is worth betting on. And my buddy the Sizzler, he's a big Commies fan, and I think he's in on it. And he's kind of giving me the insight that Josh Harris is kind of trying to copy the Ravens model a little bit, and it's a good model to copy. And I mean, who better at quarterback amongst this crop to copy that than Jaden Daniels? I know people have made the Lamar Jackson comparisons. I don't totally see it. He doesn't have that quick twitch kind of thing going on. Can't really do the stop and start thing that Lamar does, but he has that track ability.
But the thing is, he has it more than anyone but probably Kyler and Lamar.
Sure.
So he's in that world. He's just not in this. I wouldn't say he's in Lamar's, not in the ballpark, but he's one of the very, very, very few people on earth that are a good enough passer to be an NFL quarterback that can run like that. There's like 3 or 4.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm into it. I like it.
I think that's why people flip out. It's like there's no one is the runner Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP, and of course Ravens fans are going to get extra defensive about it. But he had an 85-yard touchdown in Florida and is just lighting it up through the air. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a dynamic athlete.
There was a comment about him being like a better thrower than Lamar coming out, which I think people kind of keyed in on. Which I think Lamar was better.
He was a better. I think Jaden Daniels coming out right now. Jaden Daniels is going to be 24 years old. Lamar was the youngest quarterback to start a postseason game. Lamar is one of the youngest starting quarterbacks ever. Daniels should be a better mechanical thrower of the football. He has 3 years on Lamar at that point coming out. He should be cleaner than Lamar was. He should have better mechanics. He should be a better thrower of the football. Is he a processor? Can he do some of the things Lamar did mentally as a quarterback, as a passer? No. But I think he is more sound mechanically, especially in terms of base and footwork than Lamar was coming out.
And you're doing it.
I think that's the catch-up. It's like, but everybody's knocking Lamar's pass. Lamar had some mechanical things coming out. Everybody said that. Even the people that had him as QB1. Lamar himself, would say they worked on spreading my base out a little bit. So I think there is some validity in that comment. People just take it the wrong way.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And it's, it's betting on the upside again and saying that look, Lamar did it. Maybe he can too. So yeah, it's totally fair. So yeah, I'm into it. Jaden Daniels to the Commanders. I think that would be a lot of fun. Number 3, New England Patriots. Man, this is just a weird franchise right now. It feels like the Crafts are it feels like there might be a power struggle between Jonathan and big shot Bob Kraft, who might be, he's getting a little bit older. So maybe Jonathan could be taking the reins. Gerard Mayo there as coach now. I don't know. It feels like the sheen has officially worn off of this franchise, in my estimation, but they've got a good opportunity to reset at quarterback here. I think they do it with Drake May from USC, drawing some Justin Herbert comparisons, which I kind of like. Kind of a long, languid guy, can put the ball just about anywhere on the field and athletic enough to hold up. So yeah, Drake May to the Patriots. I think that's kind of another no-brainer.
Yeah, Drake May, we'll put it on the board here. Many like May above Daniels in this class. Some like May more than Caleb Williams. I like the Justin Herbert body type. And I've had this weird, I can't quite connect it when I watch Drake May, but he reminds me of Phillip Rivers in kind of some of the decisions he makes and the way he gets guys the football.
Shout out to Kevin Clark, who secured that interview with him, who said he's been training with Phillip Rivers.
That's what I was about to say, is that I thought it was really funny that he's been training with Phil Rivers, because I don't know what it is. I just get the vibes that they see the field the same way. They process the same way. Rivers obviously slower than molasses, had a really unique delivery, some of that kind of stuff, but it's kind of the gamer about them that comes out. And May is a much different athlete. It was a different era when Rivers was getting drafted versus May getting drafted, but and maybe it's, hey, some North Carolina bias or something. But I liken those two players a lot, but I think he does have a little bit more of that Herbert body type. May is a younger quarterback as opposed to Jaden Daniels. So someone that you would love to see go to New England and maybe sit behind Jacoby Brissett, who I don't know why everyone hates him so much, but he kind of reminds me, there's been a couple guys over the years, Trey Boston, the safety a few years ago. I don't know why nobody will pay these guys or let them start. Why can't Jacoby Brissett just be a starter in the NFL? Why do the Raiders not be like, hey, can you just be our starter for like 2 years? Like, look at Geno Smith. Why is Jacoby Brissett not like somewhat close to that? It makes no sense to me. Comes in for the Commanders last year and he's killing it. But Drake May would be in a nice situation in New England with very little pressure and a veteran that can take some pressure off in the beginning there.
Yeah, I think draft bias probably has a lot to do with that. Geno, he was a second rounder, but he was projected to go in the first round in 2013. I think that kind of stuck with him through his whole career, and it helped to get him that chance in Seattle, and he's capitalizing on it. But yeah, I like Jacoby a lot too, so that's interesting. But I mean, yeah, he's probably going to sit behind Jacoby, I would think. Like, Jacoby's probably going to be miles ahead of him as far as the playbook goes. Big, strong guy, like 250 Jacoby Brissett is. And May is too, but he's going to get some, which was like 310 back in the day, but he's going to get a chance to sit behind him a little bit and learn. And I think that's going to be a good situation because I really don't know what's going on there offensively in New England. So if Jacoby can kind of take some of the bullets for him early on, then he gets in there, learn a little bit. Learning year for him. They're probably not going to win a ton of games, I don't think. Solid spot for him to wind up.
100%. I'm going to shuffle around some tabs for a second there, but yeah, drop Mayo and Patriots. I mean, I would be pretty shocked to see them trade out there with someone like May on the board. I feel like the ability to go make that pick versus get into a really weird situation of trading back and having Jacoby Brissett and it would be really peculiar to me. I don't see that happening. I do think Drake May ends up being a New England Patriot. So we've gone pretty stock in that regard, and I did want to mess around with some windows here for a quick second and get us back on the board.
But reset from Mac Jones too. I mean, what an uninspiring.
I like Mac Jones coming out a good bit. Just what a weird situation that was for him, and following up Brady in many ways.
Uninspiring tenure, and it sounded like he had some attitude stuff going on behind the scenes. Drake seems like kind of a solid between the ears kind of guy. I think he'll be able to put it together a little bit better. Yeah,
the pretty low key kind of guy in comparison versus what Mac Jones was. All right, so that puts me number 4 on the board here, and I'm just going to go the stockiest of stock. We'll continue on the path. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison Jr. here. I like Malik Neighbors a lot. I love Roma Dunze. One of my favorite players in the last few draft classes. Love him. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a very special playmaker in the air. He is AJ Green. I think that it is about that easy. There is so much overblown. He is like as much analysis or paralysis by analysis as we can have. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be an immediately really fucking good wide receiver in the NFL. He is nuanced. His body control in the boundary, his frame, he is strong. I think it is underrated how much functional strength he has. And Kyler Murray is going to go get a stud again to kind of take over that DeAndre Hopkins possession on ball roll, that ISO receiver. I don't know. I like Malik Neighbors a lot. I just don't know how you pass on a Julio Jones, AJ Green kind of body type. And he's not as heavy as Julio, whatever. I can roast me all you want. I don't know how you pass on that type of body type over someone that is not. If you're kind of close there, I'm taking that kind of body type. I think Neighbors could very well. I love the DJ Moore comparison for Neighbors. We'll get to him in a minute, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. And it's just that simple. So Cardinals going Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep, Maserati Marv. I think that's going to be the pick for them for sure. Get some fresh blood in there. You mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, he's been gone there for a little while. The Hollywood Brown thing didn't work out. It will be nice to get that kind of big body in there for Kyler to chuck it up to a little bit and take some pressure off him and rebuild that wide receiver room for them. So I like it a lot. And then, yeah, Chargers. I mean, I'm going to do it. You said we were going to talk about Neighbors. We'll talk about him right now because I'm going to go ahead and grab him for the Los Angeles Chargers. I know everyone's joking about the Greg Roman thing and rebuilding the Ravens from 5 years ago, and maybe that's not going to be conducive to wide receiver. Totally get that, and maybe they will pass on a wide receiver here, but if it falls this way, I'm just running to the podium and I'm taking Neighbors because you lose Mike Williams, you get rid of Keenan Allen. They need somebody here. Like they need someone, and it would be a gross overthinking, just negligence not to take this guy if he's there for them. So I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors, get some fresh blood in there for Justin Herbert to chuck it around to, and I'm liking the Chargers this year, and I think this would make me like them even more.
I think the Chargers will be much better equipped. I think Justin Herbert will be much better equipped if they were to take a Neighbors and figure it out in the run game. I would be lying if I said I watched a lot of Rashawn Slater last year, watched a touch of him because the Ravens played the Chargers, but they just took a tackle high. I mean, Alt will be fine. Go take a tackle, go take a receiver. You can get into the whole Penny Sewell, Jamar Chase, wormhole if you want. The Chargers are in a really good spot. They're probably in a really good spot to trade down. We can do trades here if we want. I mean, make a ton of sense, but yeah, Neighbors would make a lot of sense. Let me get to the New York Giants, who I had winning the NFC last year. Probably my worst pick I've ever made in that regard. Hapless New York Giants team. Their offensive line, they take out Evan Neal at right tackle. He struggles a ton. John Michael Schmitz at center. This is a tough pick. You want to go Alt, okay. You want to go, I don't know. It's a tough direction. You have Andrew Thomas on that bookend. You scroll around through here, and I mean, really the only thing that stands out is Rome Odunze. I think they're a prime trade back candidate. If somebody wants a quarterback here, they would be the best possible team to do so in that range. I don't think any of these three, I don't think the Bears, I don't think the Commanders, I don't think the Patriots are going to be too interested. Maybe one surprise is there. So I could see a trade back candidate for sure, but I'll go Rome Odunze here and go get another comp I really like. I haven't seen this one either. That's why I like it too. Larry Fitzgerald. A lot of people comp him too. Similar kind of body type, similar kind of charismatic guy, and just wins in every single possible way. He is a complete wide receiver with a big frame, outstanding ball skills. And I think one of the things that is so underrated about him, and I'll also throw Keon Coleman in here too, electric returner, really electric returner. And I think because of the sophistication of the downfield routes that Odunze was asked to run in college, he wasn't put in positions to be a slant and run, catch and go guy a lot. A lot of it was downfield. A lot of it was contested. He was shaded in ways. A lot of it wasn't, putting him in a position to show off the after the catch skill that he does have. I feel like people look at him, huge gust of wind coming in, freaking knocking at my front door. Huge gust of wind, and Rome Odunze is going to be a gust of wind for the New York Giants there at 6. Just a great guy, and the Giants haven't had great guy, great prospect. Giants haven't had someone like that just has that kind of winning. We've talked about the Ken Griffey Jr. We've talked about that with like Kyle Hamilton. Has that charisma to him, has that leadership, captain, all-American, apple pie feeling to him. They haven't had that at receiver in quite some time. From what I've heard, they're not. The reports, I think it was Prisco, Dane Brugler, and Daniel Jeremiah in like a 5-minute period were like, yeah, the Giants don't like J.J. McCarthy. They don't want that at all. And honestly, I like J.J. McCarthy, but they have Daniel Jones, and J.J. McCarthy and Daniel Jones are not that dissimilar as quarterbacks. Like, if you want to talk about skills, talents, things that make them good, I don't know about that being a direction to go. So I'll go with Odunze.
I like that. Yeah, I like the the Ken Griffey Jr. thing with him a lot, because I remember watching the playoff, and that was kind of my first big exposure to him. I had watched a couple Washington games throughout the year in the Apple Cup, which was a really awesome game actually. And yeah, he just jumped off the screen at me. I was like, man, if this guy like starts to fall a little bit to the Ravens, and I probably held on to that dream for a couple weeks, but yeah, I think he's elevated his draft stock, and rightfully so. I think he is that kind of jump ball guy, do it all type receiver. You mentioned the returning. I really like that for a guy, especially his size, that can show that he can do stuff with the ball in his hands. I like that pick a lot for the Giants, and you're right. They just need some juice in that building right now. That was just just a miserable year. It felt like to be a Giants fan and to probably be on that team. They need a vibe reset, and I think he could be a guy that could reset the vibes in there pretty well. For me, this might surprise some people with the Titans here at number 7. We really don't see tight ends go in the top 10 a ton these days. I'm going to do it, though. I'm going to go with Brock Bowers. I'm going to give RDT's guy, Will Levis, a big, strong guy, big target over the middle that can work the field, work the spaces, can literally do everything as a tight end, and he can split out wide as well. He did that for Georgia. Great with the ball in his hands, good blocker. He's probably the most complete tight end prospect we've seen in a very long time. So I don't know. I just feel like this could be one of those surprise picks where everyone's, I wouldn't say scratching their head because he's a great prospect, but the value doesn't always line up with tight ends. Titans are just a very weird franchise. As we've seen, we saw it last year with the Derrick Henry trade that fell through with the Ravens. I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of marching to the beat of their own drum. And this is one that I feel in my plums could kind of surprise people a little bit.
I think that would be surprising in some regard. Joe Alt there. I think we could see a trade up for Joe Alt right now or for a quarterback. We don't have to get into trades, get a little too deep into it. But,
we can.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see who's calling here. Vikings trade up.
I don't know if they're trading up for Joe Alt.
No, they'd be trading up for a quarterback there. The Falcons don't love Joe Alt. They do have Jake Matthews at left tackle and Caleb McGarry on the other side. So heck it. Let's get a little crazy here. Let's go 11, 23 for 8. And oh gee, what? This won't be accepted.
Hate that.
Oh no, that would get accepted. I think from 11 to 8 to pick up I'm pushing that through. I'm going to push that through. Why can I force this trade? There we go. I'm forcing that trade. Something along those lines. I don't need to do all the points. We're just doing the first round, things like that. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to go Minnesota Vikings, trade up there. And the Vikings are going to go ahead and go get J.J. McCarthy, the winner, the kid. And I don't know, it fits Kevin O'Connell. It just feels right there. McCarthy has lost one game in college. I think he lost one game in high school, 2 games in high school as a starter. I think the ability to layer throws and the ability to run a pro-style offense under center, from spread, the athleticism a little bit, and again, a young guy. McCarthy's a young kid. He's not 23, he's not 24, but he started a good bit. Vikings have to do something. Kirk Cousins down in Atlanta in the ATL there, which I think is a major reason why the Falcons could be a trade back player there. But yeah, the Vikings move up, go grab McCarthy, who I do think of him as Daniel Jones in some ways, but I think he is a pedigree, high leverage, third down winner. He was the best quarterback in college football on third down. He also, I will go back to TCU in 2020, I guess that was 2023, January. Maybe it was New Year's, whatever. TCU loss, threw pick sixes in that game, but responded really well and bounced back mentally. I think he's tough. I think he has as much arm talent as you could possibly want. He has enough athleticism to be a modern quarterback. And Kevin O'Connell there of that McVay, Shanahan tree, I think if he likes McCarthy, it sounds like he does, could very much launch into that category and go get a guy. And otherwise they're rocking with what? Sam Darnold. And man, similar bros, freaking blonde brosies there in Minnesota to go hang out and take a little pressure off, start a couple games as McCarthy gets his feet wet. You've got Justin Jefferson. You've got Jordan Addison. You've got TJ Hawkinson. They've got more picks. Figure things out a little bit. So I'm going to go J.J. McCarthy there.
Yeah, you mentioned the bro thing, but there is a little bit of depth with McCarthy on a personal level, which I like. You know, he talked about the, dealing with depression and stuff and like how he, regiments his day to like overcome that kind of stuff. And, just on a personal level, I think that's pretty interesting with a guy that's going to go pretty high in the draft and being open about that. I think I kind of like that for a guy. And I think Kevin O'Connell will mesh well with him. He's a dude who's been in a ton of quarterback rooms over the course of the years was with the Jets, with Sanchez and stuff. So he's seen all this kind of stuff play out at all different levels as a player, now as a coach. And yeah, just JJ, super accurate. I think of that throw that he made against Ohio State. when they played them in the regular season that wound up being a touchdown. That was one of the sicker throws that I've ever seen. Tight window guy, can move around a little bit. And like you said, the pro style offense that he ran, I think they're going to like that a lot. So it just seems like this one's been written in the stars for a while. So I do like that, and I do like the trade up. Shame on you, PFF, for not allowing that to go through. One that is going to go through here, I think Joe Alt really just kind of fell into the Bears' lap here. Kevin Warren, Notre Dame guy, or Big Ten guy at the very least. And I think he has Notre Dame ties, president for the Bears now. And it just seems like a best player available. I'm not totally sure what they have going on in tackle right now. I think they have maybe some solid options in house, but this guy, you can just plug and play him no matter what. And he's going to be protecting Caleb Williams there for a long time.
Yeah, they drafted Darnell Wright last year, who's on the right side, and I thought looked pretty darn good as a rookie. Braxton Jones, who's been solid as well. They have Tevin Jenkins, who had some injuries inside there, but yeah, those are cornerstones to go grab for a rookie quarterback. To have too many good tackles or too many options there is not a bad thing. And Caleb Williams, they do also have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, so it's not a lot of mocks have them taking Odunze, things like that. Could very well happen, but not the end of the world. They have two really good wide receivers if that doesn't happen there. The New York Jets here, boy, this is not a fun pick to make. I have no idea. I have no idea where to go here. I am actually befuddled. I have not thought about them at all. I do not know. I do not know what to do. Fuaga has been a common one. They don't need a corner. I'll go stock. I'll go Fuaga. They go ahead and draft the big boy, the big tackle. Some people project him at guard. They have Tyron Smith, who they signed, who's been injured as hell. They have Morgan Moses. They have John Simpson. They have Elijah Vera Tucker and Joe Tippmann at center currently. So they go ahead and go grab a mountain of a man in Fuaga, who is a fourth-year junior, 22 years old, and just a big, thick boy. He's a big boy. I know Cole loves him. He is a little bit volatile in terms of getting too excited out of his stance and some things like that. He isn't smooth necessarily, but he really is strong as a fucking ox. So I think that's a nice thing to have in an offense that has Breece Hall, wants to run the ball, wants to be able to establish a run. Aaron Rodgers loves to run the ball. Your boy Aaron Rodgers. So stock there. Other options, I don't know. They're not going to draft a corner. I don't know. I don't know where else they would go. Dallas Turner, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, Fuaga projects the guard a little bit. Over the Jets' offensive line have been so bad for so long. Joe D up there in New York, go fix it. Talise Fuaga.
I don't know that he is the GM, Joe D. I think it's your guy, Aaron, who you mentioned.
Yeah, very true. Very, very, very true.
All right, what to do with the Falcons here? Falcons, they've been a little bit faceless and nameless at corner for a long time. I feel like Des Trufant was the last guy who really kind of struck fear into people. So I'm gonna go with I'll go with Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. I don't know. He's just a high pedigree guy. Athleticism, not super polished per the PFF right up here. So I don't know. It's just something that you're probably going to have to figure it out. I feel like with Raheem Morris coming in there, they're probably going to want to rebuild that defense a little bit. They could go D-line with Calais Campbell getting older and everything. But overall, I like this pick for them at that spot, especially after the trade down. You get a little bit more value. That's where I'm going to go. Yeah,
that would pair up nicely. They have AJ Terrell there, and then Clark Phillips they got last year is a little bit projects better to the slot, a little bit more so makes sense. Jesse Bates back there. They definitely need to continue adding defensively and try and round out. I mean, their offense is in pretty good shape. They have more picks, and they just acquired another first-round pick that I believe you'll also be making, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that leads us to the Broncos. Bo Nix rumors there. I usually try to plug in with my guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. My Denver guy.
Albright.
Yep, Ben Albright. People rip on him. He's a little bit of a loon, but I like his. I like him. I like him overall. I'll just leave it at that. There's been Bo Nix rumors. The Broncos depth chart right now. Boy, oh boy. What have you gotten yourself into, Sean Payton? They trade for Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham. Receivers, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Mims, Cortland Sutton, who sounds like he might be on the way out, Tim Patrick coming off an ACL. The offensive line is a need there for them as well, but I don't know. I wouldn't draft Bo Nix high. I guess I don't have to. This is my mock draft, right? So I can do something that I think is better. We don't have to be predictive here. I don't know. Offensively, I have no idea. I hate the position the Broncos are in. Maybe that would be a trade down candidate. But I don't know who would be trading up here in this circumstance. Oh, well, I'll just go with, if I can find him, we'll go Bo Nix. Screw it. They gotta get somebody going. What, is Sean Payton going to go into year 3 here with Jarrett fucking Stidham and Zach Wilson? I don't think so. Maybe it's Penix. I don't know. But I look at this board. I say, why not draft a quarterback if you don't have to trade up for them? If they like Bo Nix, go for it. Bo Nix has played 11 years in college. This is a reason why I don't love this draft cycle. There are so many 24-year-olds, it doesn't feel like the draft to me as much anymore. These are not like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kids. Bo Nix has been in college for so long. He was at Auburn for so long. He's at Oregon for 2 years there. He is old. Michael Penix is old. Michael Penix was balling 2020 COVID, and that was not his freshman year. So I don't know. This kind of takes it away. A lot of these guys are younger. I think the first round, we're going to see a lot of guys that maybe people think are drafted higher, while even though I just spit in the face of this, as 23 and 24-year-olds aren't going to be drafted as high as 21 and 20-year-olds. So Bo Nix can run an offense. He can run the quick. He can, if you're going to compare one of these guys to Drew Brees in a way, Bo Nix is probably the one there. So I don't know. I have not watched Bo Nix exclusively with the idea of where he will go. But a quick rhythm passer, he's athletic, and I mean, he kind of is. I feel like he is kind of the antithesis of Zach Wilson in some ways, while being more athletic than him and playing in a frenetic style, but also being able to get the ball out in rhythm. And fun fact is that I think Bo Nix had more completions, 10-plus yards downfield, than Michael Penix did last year. So people give him a little bit of a bad rap. Bo Nix is exciting in ways. I don't know. Maybe he could be a better pro. Definitely has a ton of experience and bounced around, so kind of has that quadruple A experience already to go hang out with Sean Payton and whatever the hell the Broncos are going to be the worst team in football, probably, right? Like they're going to be picking first again. So Bo Nix, there you go.
Yeah, kind of a weird guy behind the scenes too, from what you hear, and I don't know. He threw for rhythm pretty well in that Oregon offense from some of the games I watched, and I don't know. Going back to Auburn, there was definitely some flashes, but man, if they were taking that high, that feels like Paxton Lynch 2.0, which, it's tough, but like you said, they're just in a really tough spot. They're probably going to have to trade up if they want to get a quarterback. It wouldn't shock me to see them try to do that. Cause like you said, Peyton, we're a couple of years into this experiment here and it's just not working out. Raiders, I don't know. This is another weird one. I mean, this feels like another Penix spot too, but it feels like they're a little bit high for that. I mean, you're not selling me on Gardner Minshew for 17 games here. That's just not going to work. So, maybe trade back for Penix. I don't know who it would be, but overall, just looking at the board, they have a little bit of a need to tackle here per the thing, and you can kind of just tell it's another faceless thing. I'd probably go with Fontenot here for them. Just get another guy who we like you said, the McCary comparisons, can kind of just slot him in there and, protect whoever the hell it's going to be. Whether it's going to be Minshew, maybe they move back up in the first round and grab a guy like Penix. Overall, you kind of can't really go wrong with a guy like Fontenot, so I'll take him there.
Yeah, he would slot in nicely. They got their offensive line in a better spot towards the end of the season last year. Colton Miller at left tackle, Parham at left guard, Andre James at center, Jordan Meredith at right guard, and Munford at right tackle. Fontenot could probably play left tackle, left guard, right tackle, or right guard for you. Some people say center too, so not a bad idea. I don't know if he fits Antonio Pierce's MO necessarily, but he fits a lot of spots on the offensive line, so could definitely have some worse options there, which brings us to the Saints, who are just I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the Saints are doing. I'm going to go tackle. I'll go J.C. Latham for the Saints. Trevor Penning, who they took, who I hated last year, maybe the most hated player that was mocked to the Ravens ever. I was not a fan of that. It did not happen. I am quite thankful for that. Ryan Ramczyk, serious issues in terms of health. They do have Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz, two of my all-time favorite interior line prospects in the years we've been doing this. They signed Nick Salvieri from the Chiefs and need some help on the offensive line. So I'll go with J.C. Latham. Latham gets a bad rap for DJ Fluker comparisons and some Alabama offensive line comparisons, and I get it. Maybe not the nastiest finisher of all time, but the talent is there. People liken him to Evan Neal. I think he is a little bit more of a clean, ready-to-go prospect. But, yeah, he's not you can see here immediately. Anchor is good, but he can get bold. For his size, not imposing, but he's so smooth, and I think is a nice player that'll have a nice long career. I think the big question for some of those Alabama offensive linemen, they are always the 5 stars. It is always like them in Georgia. It is always like the top tackles, the top number 1 guys out of high school. They are 99s on huddle and 24/7. And if they love it, they'll be good. It just seems like a lot of those Alabama offensive linemen, particularly the tackles, don't love it. They like football and like what comes from football, and it feels right because they're fucking massive humans. But I just don't get the feeling that they love it. And I think with the way Latham plays, I don't know that that's in his character. I would have to read Dane Brugler. Maybe we'll get a read there. I haven't looked at Latham's report on the Beast for Brugler, but it feels that same way. He's capable of being really good. If he wants to be, he can, and hopefully he wants to for the Saints. Yep,
it's just one of those things where you bet on a guy and you hope it works out, like that dude the Titans took in the first round a couple years ago. That was that really didn't work out. So you kind of just gotta pick it and hope. But like you said, we really just never have any idea what the Saints. This definitely feels like one of those years. Colts, another one that I kind of just don't really know what's going on some of the time, but they got a solid roster. They're doing pretty well, top to bottom overall. So I'll go with our guy Quinion Mitchell there, Toledo. Good coverage metrics per PFF. If you take a look at his page, which I just had pulled up here, slot him in there. Try to fix some things on the back end there. Shore up that defense because it feels like offensively they're in a solid spot. And if they can get Anthony Richardson in there, nice and healthy for a full year, it's an interesting experiment with the Colts. So I'll try to shore up the back end of that defense here with Quinion Mitchell.
He reminds me of if Jamar Chase played cornerback in some ways. He is absurdly strong, really, really functionally strong, and the Colts have had issues in their secondary for quite some time. So definitely could be a match there. That brings us to our boy Mike McDonald's first round pick he'll have as a head coach. Not that he's necessarily making it, but he's our boy. We have had Dallas Turner fall way too far. I'm just going to go grab him. With Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, and what do they have? Like Tyrell Dodson. They just don't have a prowess at pass rusher. And I think the ability to go get Dallas Turner, who I absolutely love. Freaky, explosive, long, strong, impact player, clutch player, can win in 1,000 ways. He is a prototype. And people are like, oh, he's a little light, blah, 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 blah. A little too finesse, things like that. I'm going to go with Dallas Turner here to go solidify that pass rush for Mike McDonald.
I like it. I like it a lot. Who do we got up here next? The Jags. I'll go Olu Fashanu. Just get some more offensive line help in there for Trevor. I feel like that was a big issue for them down the stretch last year. Need some protection for him. Need to shore things up there. 6'6", 319. I wonder if there's any guard versatility there for him because guard is listed as a need for them down there. So I could be into that. I could be talked into that. Just overall really got to protect Lawrence a little bit. He had some hard hits. He took some in the Ravens game actually that looked really bad. That's just the thing where I feel like they got a little too fixated on trying to get him pass catchers. And they got some good ones in there overall, and there's some good ones on the board here. Were they to go that route? Just a nice meat and potatoes here pick for Doug Peterson and get things back on track with the Jags.
Yeah, Jags definitely need to shore up that offensive line, but a major issue and get a little bit more functional there. We've got the Bungles up next. Tough. A lot of directions to go here. Donai Mitchell, someone who's been linked there a lot. I'm going to go with Leatu Latu here, who does have a medical ding on his neck, but I think is quite all right. Trey Hendrickson requesting a trade. The Bengals have Sam Hubbard, who's a nice player, not a stud. Miles Murphy, who they did draft last year. I think they take another shot here. Their defense was atrocious. Latu is a high level, ready to play. Reminds me in ways of Hendrickson himself. So does Chop Robinson a little bit, who maybe will sneak into this, maybe not. But reminds me of kind of like Hendrickson, Max Crosby. Just the hand usage is absurd and is really able to win in 1,000 different ways as a pass rusher. Smart player, high pedigree player. And Latu, I think the Bengals need help up front and need to get it. I mean, they lost DJ Reader. They bring in Sheldon Rankins to replace. They've got, really piss poor defense. Let Jesse Bates go. Defense was an issue last year for them overall. Not quite the Lou Anarumo defenses we're used to seeing. And I don't blame them. Don't blame him because the talent there. I mean, you're looking at the Bengals defense. Who are you like, oh, wow, there's Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson's a nice player. I like Cam Taylor-Britt. DJ Turner did some okay things. They signed Geno Stone, who, we all liked a lot as a Raven. Not maybe a world beater, but just a lot of meh. And Latu could maybe be an instant player to help raise the floor defensively.
Yep, definitely. I'm into it. I'm into it a lot. It's another one of those meat and potatoes picks where like Bengals fans might not be super thrilled with it necessarily on the night of because, they want to capitalize on a window and everything. And I understand all that, but I don't know. It just feels like a necessary type pick for a team that was in a little bit of turmoil last year. Rams on the clock. I feel like this could sneaky be a spot for a quarterback, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to take our boy Cooper DeJean. Is it? How do you pronounce it?
DeJean. Yeah,
I'll go with Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. Big time chess piece. I feel like the Rams like those guys a lot. Play a little positionless football on the back end back there. And like we mentioned with the versatility, could play corner, could play safety. But don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Just put him in the best spot to succeed. And I think he could be a guy who could really thrive there in LA. So I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean.
There you go. Aaron Donald retiring. Need to make a splash there. Byron Murphy, Jazon Newton, ton of options. Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. Steelers, weird position. They have Russell Wilson, Danger Russ, Mr. Unlimited. They trade away Deontay Johnson. Defensively, they've got some weirdness going on. Broderick Jones, Dan Moore. What do they need? I'm going to go Jackson Powers Johnson here, who is capable of playing center, capable of playing guard. Just a really versatile piece up front that they have lacked so badly. And we just talked about the Rams here. They got rid of Kevin Dotson last year, who signs a massive contract, goes back to the Rams. Don't know why they did that, but Jackson Powers Johnson, a player that's going to be able to come in and solidify the middle of that offensive line for quite some time. Other options here, defensively, Cam Hayward's getting older. They could always use another corner. I don't think Nate Wiggins fits what they like to do. Maybe Kool-Aid McKinstry. But I think they need to go solidify that offensive line and continue to rebuild those trenches and get into a better spot. Broderick Jones is good. He could probably play left tackle. But, yeah, I'm going to go Jackson Powers Johnson there.
I like it. Dolphins up? Byron Murphy's still on the board, up. Correct? Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll go with Byron Murphy. I'm sorry?
I just said, yep.
All right, good. Yeah, I'll go with Byron Murphy. A little bit of a smaller defensive lineman. I feel like they have a lot of big dudes there, so it brings up versatility. Can play 3 downs. Run defender, can be probably projected as a pass rusher too here from what I'm looking at. So yeah, I'll go with him. He's still 21 years old, so I don't know. I feel like he's a guy who you can kind of get in there and project a little bit, as opposed to some of these older players, which you've been kind of harping on that a little bit. So yeah, we'll go with Byron Murphy there to the Dolphins. Again, not a sexy pick. Who we love the Dolphins, and we love how they like their sexy picks. But this would be another little bit of a meat and potatoes one. And I don't know. Like I said, a shorter guy along that defensive line, kind of intriguing.
They need help up there. They lost Christian Wilkins to free agency, signs with the Raiders. They need a lot of help. So Byron Murphy makes a ton of sense. I'm getting some connection issues here. I don't know why when we record this, I always get connection issues. Just on this, we had no problems earlier when we were talking Orioles.
Yeah, it's on my end as well. So, yeah, no worries.
It's all right. We're going to go Philadelphia Eagles here. Interesting. Man. I'm going to go defensively here in some regard, most likely. Cornerback, a major issue. Let's go Kool-Aid McKinstry. Let's just nab a smooth, easy, highly regarded, talented corner. And this is what I don't get in these scouting reports. Might not be an elite athlete, but one of the smartest. He is an elite athlete. He is so fluid. He is capable of backpedaling. He's able, coming downhill is not his strong suit, but not someone that had to rely on being grabby and handsy in college a bunch. I think a target for the Ravens for sure, and would love him at 30. But the Eagles need to add to that secondary, to that linebacking core, and restock the shelves defensively. Their defense wore down late last season, and secondary has just been an issue for a long time. I bet Howie trades up for someone.
Yeah.
I bet he's not sitting tight. He's going to launch up somewhere at some point. So, yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Eagles to solidify alongside Darius Slay. James Bradbury was a huge issue last year. They do bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back. So, yeah, Eagles trying to restock the shelves there.
Makes sense.
I still hate Howie. I've never forgiven you, and I never will.
I mean, I think that worked out pretty well for you, did it not?
It doesn't matter. It's what he did to Eric DeCosta, okay? It's his good friend.
I think he helped him out. Like, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't intend to, did he? Was that his intention?
It was not, but
if my enemy tries to stab me in my back, misses, and stabs another enemy of mine, that doesn't mean that my enemy was trying to help me. They just missed. Okay.
Yeah, but I think in that instance, your enemy not only stabbed your enemy's enemy, but then he pulled the knife out and he came back at you and he fell on his own knife and killed himself, and you're still alive and your enemy's dead.
He was still trying to kill me.
So what are you going to do? Piss off the grave?
I don't have to forgive him for trying to kill me.
I'm not saying you have to forgive him, but you don't have to keep bringing it up.
Well, I can, though. I can choose to. That's my prerogative.
You can. I'm just saying, maybe
what do you need to tell me? Howie Roseman, not a good guy. Okay? Not a good guy.
All right. Listen, you don't have to.
Sure. He did maybe allow the Ravens to draft Lamar Jackson. But what have you done for me lately? Tried to screw over your good friend, Eric DeCosta.
Yeah, no, he just
stop filibustering. Go make a Falcons pick.
All right, well, okay, then I will. Not gonna lie, haven't been watching a ton of Illini football the last couple of years, but this fella Jerzon Newton continues to fall here. They got some D-line need there, like I said earlier, with Campbell getting older. Let's go ahead and snag him. You got any color on this dude, this fella?
Yes, I do. He is about as solid of a NFL-ready defensive tackle as has probably come out in the last couple of years. He's going to play some 3-tech, going to play some 2-eye, can maybe slide out a little bit further than that, but just really a mismatch in terms of functional strength, quickness, and processing. Really a whole package. Byron Murphy gets a lot of love, rightfully so, very explosive, just won a couple picks before, but Johnny Newton is a big can of whip ass. A little bit more of a power bull, 2-gap capable player. I kind of liken him to Travis Jones a little bit. I think that's a good way to look at it. He's not quite that big, not going to play nose tackle for you, but he's kind of like Travis Jones at 3-tech. So he would definitely be someone that can continue to spell for the Falcons' endless need of finding defensive pieces so that they stop having a dog shit defense every single year. So Johnny Newton, one of the safest bets in this class, in my opinion.
Fair enough. There you go. Right to the Falcons.
Dallas Cowboys. Boy, oh boy. Our buddy Jerry down there, I don't want to say too mean things of our special friend, but I think it might be time for him to go to Boca and chill out a little bit. I think Jerry needs to step away. He's getting pretty old. The videos I've seen of him talking lately do not look dissimilar from the current U.S. president saying pause earlier today, trying to...
You know why he did that? I mean, he was completely lucid when he did it.
Yeah, the Jerry Jones, Joe Biden, Donald Trump shivering, the old men in power. They're getting, the boys are getting old. Jerry Jones is getting old. Time for Jerry to go down to Boca, go to Palm Beach, sit inside, talk about how hot it is, drink some nice iced tea and relax. Old boy's getting pretty old there. With that in mind, Cowboys are in a really weird spot. Micah Parsons seems disinterested. There's just weird reports coming about him saying that he's like not a good, that people don't like him there and he's going to hold out. Offensive line wise, Zach Martin's getting old. I don't know what they're going to do at center. I don't know what they're going to do at left guard. CeeDee Lamb, monster extension on the way. Defensively, they lose Dan Quinn, Deron Bland, and Teron Diggs, the pick six brothers that can't actually cover. I don't know, man. I don't know what to do here. I want to help you, Jerry, but I don't know how. I don't know how to help Jerry here. I really actually don't. I'll go Jared Verse, BPA. He's going to go before this. Jared Verse reminds me of his Florida State brother, Jermaine Johnson, coming out, a transfer, heavy-handed, explosive, can stack, going to be good against the run, going to have a ton of upside as a pass rusher because he's explosive. Add him to the rotation, see if he can keep rushing the passer. But, man, they've got holes. They've got issues. They don't have a running back. CeeDee Lamb is expensive. I mean, they're going to drag that out, I'm sure, as long as possible. Dak wants a new contract. I don't know. I'll go BPA. Maybe Graham Barton would make sense there too. Another one, maybe I would have done that in hindsight, but Jared Verse, a really good, powerful striker at outside linebacker that can go make some plays for you.
Yep, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Packers here at 25. Feels like a very Packers pick to just have Amarius Mims fall to you, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. Throw him there along the offensive line. Bakhtiari, ton of injury issues, getting older. Got to protect Jordan Love there. They have a decent amount of weapons there in the stockpile, so let's get a meat and potatoes pick for the Packers and get some help for Jordan Love there on the offensive line.
Most certainly makes a ton of sense. That brings us to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who do probably need some help along the offensive line. I am going to go with Graham Barton here, someone that I do like for the Ravens potentially, but Graham Barton, probably going to be a guard. I don't know why. Everyone keeps saying that. I don't know why, but I guess that's just what's going to happen. Could play tackle, could play center. He's played center before. Really just an efficient, consistent, well-spaced and paced mover for his own run scheme there. And pass pro as solid as they come. So protect Baker. You still got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Trey Palmer breaking out last year. They've got some other options there. A team that, man, if there was a team I could put Brock Bowers on, I think it would be them. I think that's where I would love to somehow find Brock Bowers. I don't think that's possible, but adding him to that offense would be a ton of fun. But we'll bolster the offensive line there for Baker.
Yep, I can see it. Cardinals up here at 27. I'm going to shore this defense up a little bit. I'm going to take Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Not a super, long or big corner or anything like that. Or actually, yeah, he is. He's 6'2". What am I saying? But yeah, athleticism.
He's super light. He's very lightweight.
Yeah, that's kind of what, he's a little bit on the thinner side from what I've seen. Didn't watch a ton of Clemson this year, candidly, but yeah, okay. So he's listed at 185, 6'2". And yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff in here about competitiveness, which you're going to like that on a Cardinals team that's a little bit faceless right now. He's going to have that Dabo, now he's on TikTok drip, getting that into the defense there. And that's going to mesh very well with our guy Gannon. I feel like a lot of good content is going to come out of that. So let's go with Nate Wiggins to the Cards. After they already got Maserati Marv there, get a weapon for the perimeter on offense, now a weapon for the perimeter on defense. Move forward in a new era for the Cardinals. It's been a weird run there the last couple of years.
There you go. Wiggins is a badass, can fly. Got to replace Stephon Diggs, right, for the Buffalo Bills here. So let's go ahead and grab Brian Thomas. Adonai Mitchell feels like one of the most beloved prospects. I don't know, mixed reviews on him, but Thomas, similarly, both of them big, strong, fast, downfield. And I feel like he fits the toughness that the Bills want to have on offense. I feel like he has a little bit of that Josh Allen competitiveness to him that Neighbors also quietly has. So go get a big, strong, tall, fast guy for the big, strong, tall, fast quarterback to throw to. in Brian Thomas. Not exactly a Stephon Diggs. Maybe it is Mitchell. Maybe it is I don't know, McConkey, someone else. But yeah, go ahead and try to find somebody to replace some production for Buffalo Bills team that frankly needs to revamp their roster very badly.
Yeah, a lot of talk about them, moving heaven and earth to trade up and get a wide receiver for Josh Allen. So I think that's a smart pick. I'm going to stick at wide receiver here, actually, for the Lions. It's not a huge need for them, but I just feel like they kind of have a lot going on with the roster right now. A lot of talent up and down the pool there, so they can maybe afford to go best player. And PFF has it as A.D. Mitchell, so I'll go ahead and take A.D. Mitchell there out of Texas, 6'4". He can fly. He's a ton of fun. And yeah, he put on a show there at the Combine. So I'm going to get another weapon for Jared Goff. Just kind of keep tripling down on this thing and try to make it so they can win that shootout next time they're in one in the NFC playoffs there.
There you go. That brings us to your fighting Baltimore Ravens, 30th overall pick. The board has not fallen favorably. Troy Franklin, no. Peyton Wilson, definitely not. Tyler Nubin, nope. Lad McConkey, What do we got? We got Jordan Morgan. We got Tyler Guyton, Chop Robinson. I think the one that fits here, the two that you're going to look at are Jordan Morgan and Tyler Guyton. I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton. I'm going to go with the higher upside player in my mind. Guyton coming out of Oklahoma. Again, mentioned him as someone that started out playing as a quarterback and running back and ends up being a defensive lineman in high school. 3-star recruit, ends up playing some athlete, playing a little bit of H-back, had a touchdown as a tight end in 2021, and then ends up transferring from TCU to Oklahoma and misses a couple games, plays 4, I think, at right tackle, 1 at left tackle, and then just settles in at right tackle for the fighting Oklahoma Sooners there. Athletic as hell. He is not someone that is ready to start today and be consistent and good. He is someone that has a super high upside. He has a ton of, like, his fundamentals and the way that he approaches the run game and approaches getting off the ball and doing the basics is very strong. He isn't mixing up his punches. He isn't nuanced yet in pass pro, but he's really athletic. And you can see it coming along quickly. You can see him learning and growing. I think he only started 15 or so games in college. Really long wingspan, 6'7". He can move, long arms, not a fat boy. Kind of looks like Ronnie Stanley. He's not this big fat lineman. He is a hulking man that's, built out and has able to been naturally kind of gain weight. Stays connected really well too. He's sticky. He's a sticky blocker. So is it sexy? I think so, actually. Is it someone that's going to make an impact immediately? Maybe not. But got to add to the pool there. Again, the Morgan Moses move, I don't quite get it, but you got to think they like a Guyton or a Jordan Morgan or one of those. Other targets, Cooper DeJean, I think we took pretty high here. Amarius Mims taken here. Who knows what's going to happen? This is the part of the draft where, like, these picks, 23 down through here, it could be all of these players, but it could be in the exact inverse order. I feel like that's what happens in the 20s. Teams prefer guys a lot more. Boards start to get a little bit hairier after the first 15, 20 picks there. So Tyler Guyton added to the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. Oklahoma boy. The Ravens like Oklahoma boys. Orlando Brown, Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews all have made their impact in Baltimore, and hopefully Tyler Guyton, if drafted, able to do so as well.
Yeah, and it's there are always these random picks too that get thrown in there. I think of like Damon Arnett and some of these guys that Raiders have picked over the years that just push valuable guys further down towards the Ravens. So you're going to be rooting for that. They certainly could trade up in this scenario too if Mims were to fall that far. I'm sure they like DeJean too. They probably like some of those wide receivers and other tackle options that are going to be higher up that probably will fall a little bit more than we're expecting. So I don't know. Maybe they could try to make that move up, but the way this board fell, I think Guyton makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'd be very happy about that. To the earlier question about the roster, I think that would make me a lot more comfortable with the tackle position, and then that's kind of just making it so that you said he's not going to be ready to start day one. He might just have to figure it out, and he might have to be that week one starter for them, and then that would open things up for a competition along the interior at the both the guard spots there. 49ers, a lot of weird shit going on with Brandon Ayuk here. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be there. He might be gone as of tomorrow night. So I will go with Troy Franklin, kind of similar size-wise, 6'3", 187. Doesn't really play super big. He's a little bit more of a smooth player from what I saw. So I will go with him to the 49ers as kind of that future pick at wide receiver. Keep them stocked up there at that position. Even if they do have Ayuk, I think it will be a solid move for them.
Franklin definitely can fly. Kind of reminds you of a Nelson Aguilar coming out, and someone that can break angles, things like that. Drops the football, not someone super strong necessarily. I love this pick. Where is he? I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh. Yep, there he is. Wow. They have him at 69 here. I'm going to go get the fast burner. That finishes up our draft here. I'm going to go get the absolute burner. I'm going to download this. We can post it on Twitter or something like that. But I'm going to go get the – I kind of think of him as Hollywood Brown in ways. And they have Hollywood Brown now. And I think adding track speed spreads things out. They've got a nice running back in Pacheco. They have some other picks and things they can work out in their offensive line. Wanya Morris, maybe not an ideal left tackle there. But I'm going to go add an absolute rocket. And Worthy, it's not John Ross. He has functional speed too. He can bend the ankles. He can take screens and house them. And he is super thin and light, but he is tough for his size. He will fight for yards. He will attack a first down marker. He's got that wiry strength. Kind of a little like Zay Flowers, not nearly as strong, but has that wiry fight to him that I think a lot of guys that get that 40 champ reputation don't get regarded as having as much. And man, oh man, let's sit back and take a look here at what we just did. We did not draft a running back. We did not draft a middle linebacker. We did not draft a safety. We drafted one tight end. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, tackle, cornerback, quarterback, tackle, corner, pass rushing edge, tackle, pass rushing edge, corner, a center. There we go. There's a center, and we had a tight end. Interior defensive lineman, corner, interior defensive lineman, edge, tackle, corner, wide receiver, tackle, wide receiver. This was the primo position stud mock, maybe of all time, that we just put together, Jake.
I was going to say, Voss, listen to this. He might, he might have a cleanup in aisle 5 looking at this thing. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, we went primo positions there, 100,000%. Man, we really went after it. Fits that I like here. Overall, I like Fuaga to the Jets. I like Alt to the Bears. That would be a dream world for them to go get a fucking all-pro left tackle to go with one of the highest rated quarterback prospects in the last 5 years. What else do we got in here? Terry and Arnold, I like that pick for you. Falcons, I think that was a pretty sexy one. Dallas Turner to the Seahawks. He's going to get taken before that probably, but man, this is a primo position draft like you have never seen before in your life. So there we go.
Yeah, I liked a lot of it. I like Mims to the Packers. I loved Worthy to the Chiefs. I'm gonna hate that if it happens in real life because I think he would kill it there. Yeah, just a lot of fun all around. I like mock drafts a lot. I'm hoping to get more into the season. I'm hoping the Ravens are picking around a similar spot next season, obviously, but if not, then I'm sure I will be more into it than I was. But overall, just a fun exercise, and it's going to be fun to see it get absolutely torn to pieces tomorrow night.
It will be a ton of fun. We will be live at Jimmy's Famous Seafood, have some special guests, doing a Q&A with Trenton Simpson, Zay Flowers, Keaton Mitchell will be popping by as well. I really want to try the Gunner Burger. I'm going to make that a huge emphasis of mine. I'm going to try and get a little half and half soup, a little Gunner Burger, and sit back and
Let's do that after the stream because you might be going for a little while if you house a Gunner Burger.
I'll do that on camera. I chugged a gallon of milk on camera. What are you talking about? I don't care.
Well,
I'll show the burger. I'll show off the burger. I want the Gunner Burger, baby. I want that burger bad.
I know. I get it.
I want that
I'm
so
into
bad. Don't eat shame me.
I'm not meat shaming you. I'm concerned about your. I have bowel concern for you.
Oh, calm down. So with that, yeah, Tyler Guyton ends up being the pick there. Left on a little bit of an island at times, and yeah, offensive lineman for the Ravens. I think last time I checked, that was minus 190, and the next closest I think was receiver at plus 300. So Vegas has the Ravens taking an offensive lineman, very much so. They think that's how they can entice value out of you. They do not want you to take offensive linemen. They want you to take another position. So yeah, I think we probably see the Ravens, who did trade away an established starter that was a good player for them, need to replace that. So hopefully the board falls their way. I don't think they trade up. We'll get into it more tomorrow. I think they sit tight there. They like that 5th-year option. And yeah, if they don't pick tomorrow, I'll be pretty like usually I wouldn't care. In this class, like I need to see a first-round pick. I need the Ravens to pick in the first round. Do not trade out here, please. That is what my one asked the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, that 5th-year option is pretty valuable too. Like it's usually like I feel like it's enough to kind of keep you in. I mean, being at 30, it's certainly a little bit further back, so I could see them doing it. But overall,
I 9 picks. So like, what do you need to trade back for?
Yeah, I'm with it. Maybe do that on day 2. I feel like they always do it on day 2. So yeah, we will see what happens. I do expect it to be a tackle. Whether it's Guyton or one of these other guys, I think it will be a tackle. I think they will pick at 30. That's my overall prediction. Overall, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a lot of fun with the stream tomorrow night. Everybody tune in. Hopefully we'll have a little bit better of connection issues. I think it was on my end this time, so apologies for all that. Podcast listeners, you should be fine. I think we're going to get the localized audio, so should be all good there. But overall, this was a fun exercise, but I hope you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it very much. Gets us in the spirit. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Plenty of draft coverage. See you then. Live from Jimmy's.
Absolutely. And if you're watching on YouTube, you like what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, comment on the video as well. If you're a podcast listener, hit that subscribe button there. You can find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast across the board. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4 in the middle there. You can find Brian at Barstool Banks, Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10, and Eric at EDITTI 22. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
See ya.
Arrivederci.
Really, really hard, and they execute the system, and that's what it's all about.
Yes, sir.
Trust.
He's pretty big trust.
Big trust, baby.
Hey, yes, sir. Right on cue. Hey, let me.